back at it. We've been talking a little soccer to start the show off, so you guys can hit the text line built by Lifetime Enclosures at 641-1010. Let us know. It's not like you have to be on one side or the other when it comes to soccer, but at least give us a little take as far as the Women's World Cup and really where you watch your soccer, because it hasn't necessarily bred soccer popularity throughout any soccer that's out there. One guy did text in, the 859 says, y'all need to check out Champions League highlights from last year. Some of the greatest sports ever. That's hopeful,
you
right?
You got jokes, man.
And then, but
that's still a deep wound.
But seriously, red, white, and blue, I think brings it out.
85% of the crowd, Mexico.
That's a little crazy.
Which is, it's sad. That's a sad state of affair that our national team is in a final, a pretty decent tournament, right in Chicago, Illinois. I mean, that's, pretty much as America can get.
Yeah.
They're at Soldier Field, and you're grossly outnumbered by Mexican fans.
Yeah, it does. It does speak to the people that have moved in that still love soccer. Like one guy basically calls us an idiot, says 1010, basically our entire station is so ignorant not to realize how popular the sport is around the world. I totally dig it. So many soccer fans, most popular sport on the planet. It's a shame that 1010XL is so ignorant of the sport as a whole, and that's one of our textures. And around the world, all you need is a piece of land and one ball that you can put air in and turn them loose. And so that's why it's a very popular sport in a lot of third world countries. I have no problem with it. It's not the most popular sport in our country.
Right.
Best athletes are playing football, basketball, baseball, something else other than soccer by and large.
And to that texter, look, I'm a soccer fan as well. Could I talk a lot of soccer on XL Primetime? Of course. I could talk a lot of pro wrestling. I could talk a lot of things I want to talk about. It's not about things we want to talk about. In Jacksonville, Florida, what do people want to listen to? They don't really want to listen about soccer. So it could be a very popular sport worldwide. And I'd like to think we're very popular in Brazil, Argentina, and Germany. But I know we're darn sure popular in Mandarin, the South Side, and Bay Meadows.
Yeah,
and in those neighborhoods, I don't think people want to hear about soccer.
Yeah, which we need to get to football, which is what they crave more than anything else. But real quick, let's just spend a minute here on Kawhi Leonard. And this wasn't as big as the decision when LeBron James came out and made, taking his talents to South Florida. But Kawhi basically had the NBA world on hold, just waiting to find out what he's ultimately going to do. Everyone was handicapping Lakers, Toronto, and maybe the Clippers third in a three-horse race. Well, the whole part of this decision that Kawhi Leonard had to make was, do I want to stay in Toronto or do I want to get back to sunny Southern California? He ends up taking the Clippers deal, and the Clippers bring Paul George from OKC to sunny Southern California. So that's a two-man team that looks pretty damn good right now. When you talk about Kawhi and Paul George versus LeBron and Anthony Davis, that's going to be fun to watch in the Western Conference. That's going to be real fun.
Well, Matt, what did we talk about last week? Kawhi Leonard's an odd bird. He goes to San Diego State when UCLA wanted him. He takes down the Miami Dynasty in San Antonio. He takes down the Golden State Dynasty, albeit an injured dynasty, in Toronto. He's not on social media. Doesn't like a lot of media attention. I'm sure he hated the fact that helicopters were following him in Toronto last week at their meeting. But I didn't know one person, not one, on ESPN, Sports Illustrated, you name it, not one that mentioned the Clippers. It was
really?
all the Lakers, and it was at least the ones that I heard.
Yeah.
Were all the Lakers or all the Raptors? It's going to be one or the other. And to Jalen Rose's credit, he came out and said I was dead wrong. But Jalen Rose on ESPN said he's 99% sure what he's hearing. Kawhi's going to Toronto.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Chris Broussard, and look, we're all wrong, but from time to time, Chris Broussard, NBA guy, basically said he's 99% sure he's going to the Lakers, when the entire time the Raptors and Lakers were obviously never his number one destination. He wanted to go to the Clippers.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, how you're laying that all out, and I agree with you. But the reality is this: I think we're also all looking at we're missing the big picture. The big picture right now for me is Kawhi may have saved the NBA. His decision might have saved the NBA, because if he goes to the Lakers, forget it.
They can start counting
It's
Larry O'Brien.
boredom at that point, because you know who's winning it. Him going to the Clippers has basically thrown the NBA completely wide open. There might be 10 franchises that can win the NBA title.
There's at least 8.
Yeah.
There's at least 8.
You could stretch it even to 10 if you had to. But my point is, He goes to the Lakers. It's over, man. Over. We don't even care. It's not even okay. Yeah, well, it's like the Warriors. Same thing this year.
Yeah.
Unless something crazy happens, like two superstars get hurt, they're winning it.
Well,
and now it's different. Now it's completely wide open. It's as wide open as the NBA has been in more than 2 decades.
And we all sat there and wondered, tried to read Kawhi Leonard's mind, which is not easy to do. And the guy just wants to go back, and he still wants to be competitive. Good luck with the Clippers, because it's never been a place where you can go and thrive. They've made their runs. They've had good talent there. It hasn't worked out. Now we're going to find out whether he and Paul George can do it. Both of those guys are viewed as some of the best two-way players, can play both ends of the floor. Paul George was a scoring machine this last year and played very good defense. But we're going to find out whether those two guys, whether you can build around them, and you're going to have two guys that can cut, create, and score. Can they do it? By the way, Kawhi Leonard deciding that he's not going to go back to Toronto. Gentlemen's Club up in Toronto, Zanzibar, they pulled their offer.
Oh, no.
They pulled their offer. They were offering a lifetime of free lap dances for Kawhi.
Wow.
It's off the table now. No more. It ain't happening.
I'm sure that was a very
over.
tempting offer for Kawhi. Well, look, a couple of things, too. The Clippers, it's great they got Kawhi Leonard. All the reports coming out now, whether they're true or not, again, like we said last week, a lot of the reports were not true. But what we're hearing now is that the Clippers were so worried about being just a complete afterthought again to the Lakers that's why they have. You want to talk about putting your chips all into the poker table. The Clippers better hope Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are what they're promised to be, because they traded every draft pick they have for the next decade, basically. It is. I've never seen an NBA trade.
Gave a lot away.
Oklahoma City, not only did they give like 5 firsts away to Oklahoma City, the years that they did not give firsts away, 2023 and 2025, there is a stipulation where Oklahoma City can swap first-round picks with the Clippers,
depending on
where they are. If the Clippers are higher than the Thunder in 2023 and 2025, the Thunder will say, "Nah, that's great.
Yeah.
We're going to take your pick. You get ours." It is amazing what they gave away to get Paul George.
We're talking about, when it's all said and done, a group of players that you don't have to have a lot to go out and compete and win. And we can tear through the Golden State Warriors roster, and there were a lot of good players, but we're talking greatness in Kevin Durant, greatness in Steph Curry, great in Klay Thompson, in Draymond. But then you really kind of stop after that. And I say great in Draymond because of what he did defensively. Okay, he wasn't a complete player. But anyway, they had all those pieces, and then they just kind of went down through the roster and they filled in with the Sean Livingstons of the world and all those other guys.
Iguodala.
Iguodala, who definitely was a big player, but he wasn't everything. And so even though they've given away all sorts of draft choices left and right here and there, they're saying, you know what? We have got to figure out a way to win a damn NBA title. And they haven't. So they want desperately to do that, and they think these are two guys that can lead them. Kawhi's young enough where they can build around him for a long, long time. Paul George has overcome one of the worst injuries we've seen in NBA basketball, and has come back stronger than ever. So it's cool for them.
Well, look, I mean, you're a Laker fan. Paul George was thought to be going to LA last year.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi Leonard was thought to be going to LA this year. Now they are, and they're going to the Clippers. I mean, where are you as a Laker fan? How disappointed are you?
I text when we were doing our little thread, JJ shot the news to us. I'm like, yeah, I'm ticked, but at the same time, Matt just got through saying it opens it up for everybody. And it's true. There's at least a little more parity in the association than there was maybe 72 hours ago. And so I still like the fact that Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and I'm going to say Kyle Kuzma can end up being the biggest part of this thing when it's all said and done, as far as they are dynamic enough, inside, outside, scoring, defense, and they add in the pieces. DeMarcus Cousins gets added into the Lakers roster for beans compared to the NBA signed players over the $4 billion mark. When it's all said and done, they got to pay all that. That's a tab sitting there with the association for $4 billion. And DeMarcus Cousins comes to LA for, what, $3 million a season? I'm cool with it.
The DeMarcus Cousins thing was weird because by all indications, there was no market for him. That's why you had heard nothing about DeMarcus Cousins. I don't know if that's a locker room thing. I don't know if people still think he's not healthy enough. I don't know what it is. That guy was an all-star a year and a half ago before the Achilles injury, and now it's like no one wanted to touch him. So that's a great value for the Lakers.
He hasn't been in shape for a year and a half. He's got 4 months basically to get in shape. If he gets in shape, he can be a difference maker. He's a legitimate star player. So I think if it's $3 million, all you're paying is $3 million. I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
If I own that club and I say, yeah, $3 million, that's what we can get him for. Let's do it. Let's hope he gets in shape.
What I love as an Orlando fan, look again, we're not going to win the title anytime soon. The East is now wide open. If Kawhi would have gone back to Toronto, they were going to be tough to beat. But now Toronto, Philadelphia, Boston, Milwaukee. I mean, it's the 4 from last year. But obviously, Boston's a little wounded. No more Kyrie Irving, no more Al Horford. Milwaukee lost a couple of guys, including Malcolm Brogdon. Now Toronto's lost Kawhi Leonard. So the East, at least for my being a middle-of-the-pack Eastern team in Orlando, guys like me are very happy today that Kawhi's out west.
See, if I'm Orlando right now, and you know the idea of Westbrook coming to Orlando, I'm thinking it's wide open right now. I saw what Toronto did. We've got a nice little club right now, a lot of nice pieces. I'd go get Westbrook because at this point, with everything so wide open, why wouldn't you do it and try and take that shot at this year, the following year, get him in his prime, let him play. You got nice pieces around him. See what happens. It's wide open right now.
Well, the difference is, and what Matt's talking about, there were rumors that Orlando, Miami, and Detroit were all interested in Russell Westbrook because OKC's going to have a fire sale.
Yeah,
not after trading Paul
Still
George.
gonna happen. Still might happen.
The difference is San Antonio had to get rid of Kawhi to get something for him because he was going to do to them what he did to Toronto.
Right.
And they got DeMar DeRozan. Same thing. DeRozan was going to want out of Toronto at some point, so it worked out for both teams. Oklahoma City, I saw a rumor they're going to want Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier, Mo Bamba, and a first. There's no way I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way you're going to. If you're Orlando, great.
Wait, go back to those three. Go back to those 3 players again.
Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier, Mo Bamba, and a first-round pick.
Okay, I'm fine with Fournier. I'm fine with Bamba. Gordon has turned into a pretty good player. Do you think he's an elite player right now?
No, but the problem is if you only get Russell Westbrook back in that deal, Orlando, with all of those pieces, was only good enough to have the 7 spot. You take your starting 2 guard, your starting power forward, and your backup center, and a first-round pick, and all you get's a point guard in return?
Right,
You take your 2 guard, you insert Russ in there.
Yeah, and remember, Russ plays a one-on-one game, so
Right.
he's cool with not having anybody else there. All right. So
And by the way, Russ is going to have to want to come to Orlando.
of course, yeah.
I don't think Orlando is very appealing to Russell Westbrook. You know what's appealing to Russell Westbrook? Probably going to South Beach. That would be much more appealing.
He's been in Oklahoma City.
Agreed.
With apologies to anybody from Oklahoma. He's been in Oklahoma City. All right, so let's get to the Jags. Jaguars.com cranking out a countdown of the top 25 players that are not active right now that are among the top 25 best of all time in Jaguars history. We've been having fun on 1010XL, really going through all sorts of cool angles. You can still go to 1010XL.com and take a look at the greatest games this franchise ever had. You can vote and actually call in on one of our call-in record lines where you can give your best moments as a Jaguar fan. So that's all out there. And of the top 25 players in Jaguar franchise history, the best, the Jaguars.com folks crank out Chris Naoli as the first guy among their top 25. They went interior lineman. Leon Searcy, if you were here, he'd be happy that a lineman's getting some recognition. But Naoli, definitely deserving.
Naoli's kind of overlooked in the sense that we always talk about the best free agents to ever be signed by the Jaguars. You talk about Big Leon, who will be back with us tomorrow here on XL Primetime. You bring up Calais Campbell now. We bring up Mike Peterson, Paul Posluszny. A lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball other than Leon. Other than Big Searcy, Naoli is maybe the best offensive free agent they've ever brought in. Certainly in the conversation. The guy came in from New Orleans, was a top 10 pick for the New Orleans Saints, came in here and started 87 games in a Jaguar uniform. Fred Taylor had 3,000-yard seasons running behind Chris Naoli at the, what was his name, left guard? Left guard,
Yeah,
right?
left guard.
Yeah, left guard position. Look, it's not a sexy position, but Chris Naoli, to me, absolutely, when we did our top 5 offensive linemen of all time, he was certainly one of those. A guy that never said a whole lot to the media, a guy that you wouldn't want to be the enemy of in a back alley somewhere.
I would want him on my side.
I would want him on my side if I was in a tag team match. There's no question about it. So I think maybe he gets overlooked in that aspect. Guy was a good football player,
Well,
and he, like you said, number 25 on the Jaguars.com list.
If we're being honest, Matt, interior linemen, they get overlooked all the time.
Zero
Center
respect.
may get a little credit.
Zero respect.
Yeah, center may get a little credit after the bookend tackles or the big left tackle. Those guards are forgotten.
And there's nothing more important than the middle three when we talk about the run game.
It's
nothing.
true. Yeah,
Nothing more important.
and so Naoli was a force, and he was just this dominant guy that could really bolster the run game. He could move people around. Remember, Naoli, and you can go through any center that was here, Brad Meester, for as long as he was here, they have to move those bigs in the interior part of the defensive line. They got to get them out of the way so Fred Taylor and Maurice Jones-Drew and all those guys late in Naoli's career could get the job done. But he was a badass at that guard position.
The original highest pick for a guard, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And was Ditka the coach when Naoli was selected?
Probably,
on the top 10?
97.
That
Because,
sounds right.
because he also gave away an entire draft to get Ricky Williams. So
Right.
it wasn't unconventional if Ditka did both of those. I think he did. And Naoli people kind of raised. But since then, you've seen other guys, interior linemen pick very high. Damian Woody picked very high. Who are we going back to? Mawai, Faneca, and then you can go, of course, with
recently.
Quentin Nelson this last
Quentin Nelson, DeCastro in Pittsburgh
Yeah.
was taken very high. Joe, I don't remember. I mean, it was very early when I was an intern with you guys at Brand X.
Mhm.
I don't know if I ever talked to Chris Naoli. I saw him in the locker room a bunch. I don't think I ever had the guts to actually go talk to the man. He just looked like an angry human being.
Yeah, but he's one of those soft-spoken dudes. You talk about the pig roast, and I'm sure Naoli was probably one of the guys that would kill the pig, gut the pig, dig the hole, light the charcoal, cover it with those big leaves, and then eat all of it when it came out of the ground. But
Apparently he's
Naoli,
back living in Hawaii now, according to the video.
Jaguars.com got him doing a little video for there. But I just would describe him as a quiet assassin. He was just a guy that was just all about his work. He was all right. He was the Kawhi Leonard of the Jaguars offensive lineman. That's what he was. Don't ask me anything. I just want to go do my job. But whenever we did talk to him, he had a personality. He just wasn't. There's I would think certain guys that love the spotlight and do great things with it, and then he just wanted to sit back and just kind of do his work, be invisible, which is what linemen
Leonard,
like.
huh?
If they're not having flags thrown on them, they're kind of invisible.
He was the Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
So like block man gets paid.
Yeah, of the Jacksonville Ifs, my new name for the Jaguars, because you've never had more ifs going into a season than this year. So we'll see whether they can do it or not. So if he's at the first of the top 25 that are coming out, you can expect a handful of linemen. You can expect a handful of skill position players, defensive guys, sack artists, guys that are picking off the ball.
Oh, what'll be interesting is they come out every day, Jaguars.com. By the way, if you haven't gone over, it's about a 3.5 minute video. I guess they're going to release them every day. Outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Got a lot of highlights from Naoli's career. They actually did a little 30-second interview with him at the end of the video. So take a couple of minutes out of your day and go over to our friends at Jaguars.com and check that out. That video is pretty good.
All right, one other thing we'll get into today with the Jaguars, and it's kind of a cool angle that we'll have some fun with, the National Football League. If you went by age with every player, and you started with the youngsters, and then you went all the way through to the Tom Brady's of the world, best player at every age. So we'll have a little fun with that and get into it coming up. I want to mention one guy, speaking of age, 20 years old yesterday. A guy wins a PGA Tour event and took home a check of over $1 million. 20 years old. Wimbledon, little Coco. Okay, Coco Gauff made it through 3 rounds?
Yeah, I got beat today though.
She got beat earlier today, but 15 years of age, just to really something else.
Oh, it was incredible
to see this young lady just really take on the stage that is Wimbledon and be able to get through 3 rounds and really have to battle back from being a set down in the last match that she won. And then you've got 20-year-old Matthew Wolff. Matthew Wolff was a star on Oklahoma State's golf team. In fact, it was a little bit of an upset that they didn't win the Natty, but he was the individual champion, and he and Victor Hovland really just immensely talented youngsters that just turned pro. So the dude has been in 4 PGA Tour events, 3 as a pro. 1 he got an invite as an amateur, and he wins by making an eagle on the last hole after Bryson DeChambeau made an eagle to pass him. He had a share of the lead. DeChambeau makes the eagle putt. DeChambeau goes from 1 down to 1 up. and lo and behold, Matt Wolf hits his second shot onto a par 5 and sinks an eagle putt. It was awesome.
Our guy Andrew Catalan on the TV broadcast, he was good, man.
Yeah, Catalan really liked it.
Yeah.
In for Jimmy Nance, and normally Bill McAtee's the next guy up, but they gave Catalan a run at it, and he did very well. I think you'll definitely hear him more often on those broadcasts, which was pretty cool. But I was happy for Matt Wolf for sure.
Well, yeah, 20 years old. I thought it was interesting. They asked him in the press conference, how are you going to celebrate? Because legally you have some limitations. He's saying, I got to have a virgin pina colada, is what he said. So,
and he laughed. He said, that's the only virgin drink I can think of.
Yeah.
But
now, you talk about young people, like you mentioned him and Coco. My man that won the NASCAR race in Daytona yesterday.
Yeah, that one was...
I don't know how old that guy is, but I saw him doing the interview. Yeah. That cat can't be very old.
No, fresh-faced, rosy cheeks.
He's how old? He's 20. He's 20 as well,
also.
Yeah.
And so that means he's been driving legally for 4 years, and this dude's going
he just won the July race at Daytona.
And you felt... I felt bad for the fans, for everybody there. We had the broadcast on 1010XL 92.5 FM, and the weather just wouldn't leave them alone. I wonder why Daytona didn't start that race earlier yesterday to get a few more laps in. But anyway, when the lightning started to pop, they had to make the decision to call it. So it was a little bit of a bummer. And there were 2 really bad wrecks in that race yesterday. And it just drives me crazy what some of these guys are doing. Clint Boyer tries to drop down, and I think it was Austin Dillon that just basically tried to cut him off. It didn't make any sense to me whatsoever what was going on. That was one of the huge melees. There were a couple of them that were pretty bad, causing a lot of damage. All right, into the 1 o'clock hour. Let's get back into this Jaguars discussion about, if you looked age by age, just number by number, who would the best player at every age in the NFL be, and are any Jaguars on that list? We'll get into all that coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Thanks to Monroe's Smokehouse Barbecue. Don't forget, check them out. Highway Avenue near Cassett, on beach between Southside and St. John's Bluff. Anytime you're craving delicious barbecue, they have got it with delicious sides. Make it Monroe's when you're craving some barbecue. Best player at their particular age right now in the National Football League next.